Folkwang. I want to talk about the afterlife and what my interpretations of these post-death destinations are, or our destinations. It's my understanding that there are multiple interpretations to these myths that can all be, maybe not all, but many can be true at the same time. What I want to focus on, like usual, is the etymology of the words and simplicity in the myths, and not reading too much into them, or rather not getting too fantastical about everything. And let's see it as more of a practical, simplistic understanding of something. Not to say that there's not more esoteric and deeper meaning, but here are some of my simple interpretations of hell, Valhalla and Folkwang. Now, as far as hell goes, I think I've mentioned this in videos already in the past. Hell is literally the underworld, the grave, under the earth. It's not some big underworld city where there's fucking Christian demons living. It is literally the grave. It's not a portal to the grave. The grave's not a portal to the hell dimension. It's not some sort of extra step beyond the grave. It is nothing but the grave. Now, that's not to take away from the power and the special nature of the grave or the burial mound. It is extremely powerful and important, but there's not some secret door hidden behind a four-dimensional corner in the grave where we can go and, I don't know, have a little party or anything like that. There's a lot more to it, but as far as spatial dimensions go, hell is the grave under the earth, where most of our dead will go, be buried with our personal possessions to identify us after death, in our afterlife, our life after death. We will be identified by our material possessions. I believe that a lot of our memory is external to our body, still material. I think I shouldn't say all, but I believe most memory is material. Some is internal material, some is external material. Not unlike a computer or your phone or something like that, where you have like a memory card, and then you have the internal device memory. So all of our personal possessions throughout our life are examples of our external hard drive or memory chip, if you will. Certain memories die with our body because they are internal. Certain memories are also backed up by external material possessions, so therefore have a greater chance of being recycled later. That's pretty much all I have to say about hell. I think, as I said, I've said these things before. What I really want to talk about is Folkwang and Valhalla. Now, these are things that I hadn't given too much thought for until just recently, and it's come up in discussion a couple of times. And I've got a hypothesis based on simplicity and etymology again as to what the difference between Folkwang and Valhalla, what they are. And Valhalla being a hall of the slain, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's the literal interpretation. And Folkwang meaning field of the dead or field of the folk. Now, in myth, I know and what I believe most people know about these two places is that after the battle, or after a battle, half of the noble dead or venerated dead go to Valhall, and the other half go to Folkvanger with Freya. Now, I don't think this is a literal half and half, or a numerical 50-50 split, like there's some sort of deal going on. I think it's a figure of speech, because what I believe Valhall might well be, in one sense, not all senses, but many, there might be other interpretations, like I'm sure there's a placental interpretation as well. But what do we know about Valhall is that it is described as the Golden Hall, or the Golden Gates, and something I think could be described as a Golden Hall or a Golden Gate would be a funeral pyre, something that's often associated with the renowned and venerated dead who would be most likely sent to Valhall. Would be those who are probably the type of people who would have been cremated. Now, if that's the case, if you picture a huge funeral pyre, golden flames, that could very easily be interpreted as a golden hall or a golden gate. What do you see when they're burning? A huge golden gate. And that would then leave Folkvang, which means the field of the dead, or the field of the slain, or the slain folk. They would be those who died in battle, who weren't given a cremation. Not to say they're dishonoured, but you can't necessarily take all of the corpses. You shouldn't, I believe. You've got to leave something for the crows or the ravens. But even if you wanted to, I don't think it's practical to always take all of the dead off the battlefield. So some must be left in the field. And it's nothing much more than that, but the field of the dead. Those who just get left behind. And as I said, a figure of speech that it's half and half. Half go to Folkvang, half go to Valhall. You can't take everyone. So who are you going to take for the honourable cremation? Well, those who fought most valiantly and probably the most noble out of the army or the group. So they're the ones that are going to be held in the highest renown and have the most memorable funeral rite, and be thus more likely to be remembered by future generations and for children to emulate in future generations as well. They may not have all the possessions that those in hell have, so in some ways it's harder to reincarnate, but the stories that would be told about these venerated dead who have been sent to Valhall after death, not to say it's a permanent place, although in some ways it is spoken about that, like that, as a permanent place. But if we just think of it as the destination after death, as in immediately after death, what is done with your body, your corpse, Valhall, or those that go to Valhall, they would be spoken about and held in such high esteem that they will be remembered for many generations. Those who were left, those who go to, or should I say left in Folkvang, they probably won't be forgotten straight away, like a lest we forget type of mentality, but their names will probably be forgotten pretty quickly, remembered only by their immediate family. But let's be real, they're not going to be anywhere near as famous as those who went to Valhall, and they went there for good reason, I assume. Probably valor in battle, and probably being more noble in life outside of battle as well would have something to do with it. There'd be a classism there. But yeah, that's something that clicked to me the other day, and I hadn't really thought much about Volkswagen Valhalla. It was something that didn't really bother me because I've been more focused on hell for spiritual reasons, because well, there's a lot more substance there. Literally, there's a lot more matter and material there when it comes to material memory and whatnot, rather than just renown and words. If I lived in a culture a bit more closely related to war and military families, which in this generation there's none of that in my family. I am a fighting type. I have a lot of martial arts and fighting background, but I'm the only one in my family, really. So it's sort of irrelevant for me to think about that type of aspect of life after death. What I'm saying is it's all hell-based for my most recent ancestors. So that's why I haven't focused on that too much. But yeah, just thinking about it the other day, and it came up in conversation after having been thinking about it. So I thought, well, I might as well share it while it's a hot topic. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say on it for now. So I'll leave it at that. Thanks for listening.